What is going on, Seahawks fans? I am so excited to see you guys on this Friday, getting close to the end of the work week. If you're fired up about the end of the work week and you're fired up about all the Seahawks news going into the NFL Combine and throughout the NFL Combine this week, go down below in the chat and start spamming those 12s. I saw y'all showing up. I was worried there for a second. I thought producer Searle and myself, we were going to be partying by ourselves, but I'm glad to see my guy Potato13 in the building hanging out with us. What's up? What's up, Lord Buddy Bear, the GOAT? Good to see you as always. What's going on? Hey, man, Jay Bricks, what's good? Good to see all of y'all. Hey, by the way, we're at 12 likes right now. Keep spamming those 12s. Hit that thumbs up button if you can while you're in here. What's going on, Courtney? Hey, man, Potato. Good to see y'all. Durham's in the building. A Rams fan just put in a 12 in the chat. That's always a good thing. What's up, Victor Jones? How are you? Yeah, you did. You're the Rams fan that put the 12 in the chat. No. What's going on, Brendan? What's going on, Scott? Pop Toes, 12 as 1. Good to see you. Love my good friend, Pop Toes. Speaking of love, we got to get the best producer in chat sports on to the screen right now, and that is my good friend, producer Searle. Searle, how you doing on this Friday? Have you cracked into some Rebecca Black yet?
Not quite yet.
Not yet?
We still got a little work to do.
That's true. I'm listening to some Rebecca Black on my walk home. It's my favorite thing. It was a tradition that we started back in Portland. The boys, I used to be on this fantastic show from time to time called Dirt and Sprague. When I was on with Dirt and Sprague, at the very end of their shows, they always ended it with Friday, Rebecca Black. It signified to me that my work week was done, and so I'd start walking home and just Friday.
I love it. I love it.
Friday.
It has been quite the week here at Chat Sports. We've had combine coverage for U12s all week. What a week it's been.
Dude, it's been crazy. And it feels like this is the precursor to free agency, which, of course, is going to get underway here in about 10 days, if I remember correctly. It's going to end up being on Wednesday. The 9th is when the tampering, or no, excuse me, that's when free agency actually hits. But the tampering can start a little bit before that. We're going to have you covered on all that, so don't be shocked if you're seeing a lot of free agency news and rumors, especially around the Combine, because this is when most of the teams kind of get those talks going. They get some of their conversations out for the people. They get some of their trade talks and all of that fun stuff as well. I'd be very interested to see what happens with the Seahawks. If you want to be a part of a show, we've got a mailbag. So not only would you be a part of this show, you would be a part of our show on Saturday. All you got to do is use the hashtag Seahawks to get your question on the show. Or you can send in a super chat. If you send in a super chat, I guarantee you'll be on the show. Producer Searle guarantees you'll be on the show. Use the hashtag to get your questions in. I can give you a promise that we'll do our best to get you on the show, but I cannot guarantee that you'll be on the show. So if you want to make sure that your question is answered, make sure you send in that super chat. And I want to let you know about this sweet little new merch item that we've got here on Seahawks Today. Because if you're a real one and you love the Seattle Seahawks, but more importantly, you love Seahawks Today, you can go grab one of these t-shirts. Only $24.99. You can get the navy or the black. Look at how sweet this t-shirt looks. I've got my Mob Mentality t-shirt on. Super comfortable. Really love it. We're going to have the link in the comment section and description of today's video. Also, St. Patrick's Day. It's coming right around the corner. Get your St. Patty's Day merch right now. We've got that Seattle green drinking team t-shirt as well as the navy. Super fresh, super fly. By the way, these t-shirts only $29.99 in the Chat Sports store. Again, the link is going to be in the comment section and description of today's video. You want to go grab yourself either one of those t-shirts or both, you can do that today. Super fresh. I'll tell you right now, I love my t-shirts, and I'm very excited for y'all to go grab one if that's something that you want to get into. Got a full show today. I'll tell you what, we were thinking it was going to be a little bit of a lighter show, but because, well, it's producer Searle, it's Will Ortner. We couldn't let it be an easy day. We couldn't let it be a light day. There's some people taking some knees right now. Everyone knows it's Friday. They're taking a knee, letting the clock run out on their weekend. That's not what we do here.
Couldn't be us.
That's not what we do here. I'm already getting the look in. What's going on? How you doing? You, Jack? Sir, look like you deserve a drink. Tell you that right now. I guess that's fair. I guess that's fair. Oh, we'll take care of it. Yep.
Yeah.
We got you, brother.
Gotcha.
We got you. Today's show, sorry about that. We're going to have a Tory Horton update. It's very interesting. I'll tell you that right now. You don't expect to get injury news in the offseason. A little bit worried about where he's at. We're going to go through a mock draft because, well, it's mock draft season, and we're going to have a mock draft after the NFL Combine. And then, of course, we're going to end the show with a mailbag. Like I said, if you want to make sure that you can guarantee yourself on to that mailbag, what do you got to do? You send in that super chat, or you can send in that hashtag Seahawks to get onto the mailbag. If you use the hashtag Seahawks, I'll do my best to get you on the show, but I can't guarantee it. I can guarantee you'll be on if you send in that super chat. We're trying to get to 115 likes on today's show. We are going to need some help. It's going to be a quick one, I'll tell you that. So, to get to our goal of 115 likes, help us out. All you got to do, hit that thumbs up button. Remember, liking the video, it's free $99. It just helps us out. Helps us get to do more of these live shows and get to do more of these live videos that we like to do here on the channel. So if you could, come on in, hit that thumbs up button. Bam, just like that, we're over 21 likes. Also, you might notice I've been kind of flinging it around because, well, I just think it's so darn cool. I've got my 12s bracelet on. We are also giving away a gold 12s bracelet. We are going to have a raffle, and at the end of March, everyone who has sent in a super chat on one of our live shows here on the channel, you will have an opportunity to get yourself that bracelet. So the way it works, essentially, you send in a super chat for one of your questions, you're going to get in on the show, but you're also going to have an opportunity to get one of these bracelets from our good friends over at Lucky Links. And I'll tell you right now, Heidi and her team, they do a fantastic job. I love my bracelet. I know the special lady friend, she loves her bracelet that I got for her for New Year's as well. So if you would like to go and potentially grab something for yourself, for the special lady in your life, or maybe for your mom, maybe for your sister, whatever, whoever you want to grab it for, definitely go check out Lucky Links. I need to make sure on my social media that I give more shout-outs to her. She does a fantastic job. Thank you, Pop Toes. He's out here helping out the brand, helping out the boys, telling you to hit that like button. We're at 30 likes right now, 51 people viewing the show, 51 people hanging out with us currently, producer Searle. We're going to leave this up here for just a quick sec because if you want to get your question in on the show, we want to make sure that we give you guys the opportunity to do so. If you want to hear a question, you got something that you heard a rumor about, you heard some crazy news about, anything of that nature, anything of that sort, use the hashtag Seahawks to get on the show. Or, like I said, you can send in that super chat. Shout out to Pop Toes. You might be my favorite 12, brother. You might be my favorite 12. Monte. What? Oh, well, it was good to see you, Potatoes 13. I enjoyed my time with you. A lot of fun. It was a quick one there. It was a quick come in and hang out. I'll tell you that. It was a quick come in and hang out. Okay, one more hashtag Seahawks. I appreciate it. It's
been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun, Potatoes.
There you go. Make sure you're using that hashtag or you send in that super chat. We got 41 people in the building, but we got 31 likes. Here's what I think we need to do, producer Searle. If we get to 40 likes, we will get into that first segment because I can already see my guy Terrence down below in the comment section asking what could possibly be going on with Tory Horton. Well, I want to tell you, but I'm not going to be able to do that until we get to those 40 likes. We're only 8 away. It helps us out. It helps us continue to get to do more and more of these live shows, which we really want to do, and we really do enjoy doing them. Sorry that it's a little bit later this week, but we had a ton of combine stuff going on, a lot of news flying around, and so sometimes we just got to move our stuff around to be a little bit more accommodating for how the news is going. I'll tell you what, we need to have more and more of these lives, and we want to do more and more of these lives, and we're only going to be able to do it if we can get our numbers that we need to hit. So right now, we got 54 people in the building. We're 3 likes away from getting into that first segment. Really excited to get into that first segment. Want to let you know about everything that's going on injury-wise with Tory Horton. I think a lot of Seahawks fans, myself included, we were really excited, especially after how well Tory Horton started off the year. And, well, we're kind of disappointed that he wasn't able to come back any sooner than we'd previously thought. So make sure you hit that thumbs up button. We are just 2 likes away. 2 likes away from getting into that first segment. Come on in. Hit that thumbs up button. We're excited. We're excited to get rolling here on A Friday. I'll tell you that right now. Producer Searle is already jacked up. Producer Searle's had like 5 Red Bulls. The guy is cruising. I'll tell you that. Dude, you want to talk about a lot of caffeine? Your boy's having a lot of caffeine right now. We're grinding. Boom! 41 likes. Appreciate it. If you have not had a chance to hit the thumbs up button, do so while we're getting into this first segment. Remember, today we are talking about Tory Horton's injury update, and we're going to do a mock draft before we get into our mailbag. If you have not had an opportunity to get your question in, use the hashtag that's on the screen, hashtag Seahawks, or you can be like my guy, Christian. Boom! And you can send in a super chat. That's going to get you in the raffle to potentially earn yourself our nice little 12s lucky links that we can try and get out to you. And it's going to guarantee that you're going to be on a show today as well as tomorrow. Christian, we're going to get you up here in just a moment, and then we'll get right into that Tory Horton segment because I want to make sure that I support those who support us. And the best way to do that is by getting them on the screen as quick as possible. By the way, everyone give a hand to Producer Searle. He's absolutely killed it this week. First Combine week, dude's an absolute beast. Christian, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. Seahawks, what player from the Combine is the best fit for the Seahawks? I was on a Twitter hiatus. Okay. That's so funny. Christian, well, I'll tell you what. I apologize. I was out here very excited. Every time that I see you share something, I make sure to repost it. I don't know why they would say that it's spam. I'm very confused by that. What I will say is from the bottom of my heart, thank you, and I appreciate you for sharing all of our videos. Anyone else who shares our videos and tags me in them at Will Ortner, whether it's on Instagram or on Twitter, I will make sure that I get you a shout out on the show. Here's what I'll tell you right now, Christian. I think the more and more that I look at everything that's been going on, I think that Brandon Cisse, I think it's Brandon Cisse. And I'm going to pronounce his name different every time, and I apologize. I'm not trying to pronounce it incorrectly. I just have a horrible Hawkinson accent. But the cornerback out of South Carolina, that guy is an absolute stud. I love everything that he is doing. I think he is fascinating as a prospect. He can play a bunch of different positions. He can step in and absolutely ball out on this team. He's a guy who could play on the outside as well as on the inside. Did very well as a slot corner as well. So it could be fascinating to see him in a Seahawks uniform. And I'll tell you right now, I do think that the Seahawks are going to go defense when I look at just the way that they've been talking to guys at the Combine. Now, there's been some offensive guys, but it does feel like defense is the way they're going to go. Zender, what's going on, big dog? I'm right there with you, man. I can't wait for this draft to get underway. I can't wait for free agency. I've had enough of the rumors. And look, I told you I'm going to report on the rumors. So anytime there's anything big around Kenneth Walker, I have to report on it. But I did not enjoy reporting on the rumors and the news that I heard about Kenneth Walker this morning. I love talking about the draft because it's only positive. It's only the potential about what these players can do for your team. So I can't wait for the draft. Go Hawks, go Xander, go Christian. Like I said, if you want to be on the show today and tomorrow, which is Saturday, because that's when our mailbag goes out, all you got to do, To guarantee yourself in, you send in that super chat. We're going to show you on the screen. Xander and Christian will be on that video. If you'd like to join them, you can do that as well. Now, I promised you at 40 likes, we were going to get into the first segment. It's already gotten over to 50. If you haven't had a chance to hit that thumbs up button, make sure that you do so. We'll be right back after this segment, and we'll talk and hang out a little bit more. But I got to let you know what's going on with Tory Horton, and Mr. Ortner is going to return. We ready, Producer Searle? Love it. This is Seahawks Today. I am your host, Will Ortner, and I cannot believe that on February 27th, I'm talking to you about an injury update on a Seattle Seahawks player, but I am. And we're going to dive into the stuff that's going on with Tory Horton, because I'll tell you right now, I'm officially worried, and I don't think that I should be worried about any injury issues around a Seahawks player in February, but I don't like the language that the coaches are using around him, and I don't like that we don't really have a ton of information on this injury. The other thing that we're going to talk about at the end is, well, Mr. Ortner, my job before I was here was I was a substitute teacher. Believe it or not, Will Ortner was a substitute teacher, and so I had to do grade checks every now and again, and, well, we're going to check the grades of the Seattle Seahawks according to the players in the building and on opposing teams, and we'll see where they grade out according to the NFL players. Before we do any of that, though, if you're a real one, you want to grab your Seahawks Today shirt. It's super cool, very affordable, only $24.99. We've got the navy as well as the black. Look at how cool this thing looks. You can support your favorite show here on Chat Sports just by grabbing yourself one today. And remember, March right around the corner. That means St. Patrick's Day. We're still selling the Seattle Drinking Team shirts, but I'll tell you right now, time to get those is rapidly approaching. You can get the green or the blue. Only $29.99. Super fresh, super fly. You're going to look great in that t-shirt if you go grab yourself one. And I do have to give a special shout out to my guy, Art. Shout out to you joining the drinking team. That's so freaking awesome. If you want to get a shout out just like Art, you go grab one of these shirts yourself, and I'll make sure that you're in a future video on the channel. Thank you guys for supporting us, and I'll always support those who support us. By the way, link's going to be in the comment section and description of today's video. Obviously, the rookies in Seattle made a major impact. Tory Horton, one of them, but Gray Zabel, Nicky Manwari, Elijah Arroyo to a lesser degree, but he did. Riley Mills, Robbie Oots. The rookie class for the Seahawks was very fantastic, and I think it's important that Mike Macdonald at the 2026 NFL Combine really went in and highlighted that fact. Here's what he had to say.
Well, it's incredibly important for multiple reasons. One, I mean, just look at the productivity we had of those top two guys, solidifying our offensive line with Gray, and really the leadership position that he's taken within our team was really integral towards our success on offense. And you know, everyone talks about Nick, but that's kind of self-evident and how that came to life. But the whole rookie class as a whole, I think the way they handled their business in terms of being ready to go, understanding their stuff, putting in the extra time, showing that the vets, that they are invested in our team and it matters to them and they have respect for the guys that kind of laid the groundwork for them before them, let that connection happen quicker. And to the vets' credit, they're creating an environment where they let the guys kind of come in and be themselves and welcome them and show them the ropes. And if you don't have that, it's hard to build the team that we built. So that's something we're going to have to do moving forward. And obviously we had a lot more picks last year going into the draft than we do this year. That will probably change, but those guys are going to be, foundational pieces for our team moving forward.
I love that Macdonald really pointed out the impact that these rookies had on the Super Bowl winning team, because without the rookies, the Seahawks don't win the Super Bowl. And I don't think that we emphasize that enough on players that aren't named necessarily Gray Zabel or Nicky Manwari, because as great as they are, and trust me, those guys are great, I think that a guy like Riley Mills really added into what this team can be, because I think we've seen just the very beginning of his potential. Another player that I feel that way is Tory Horton. Now, unfortunately for Tory Horton, he was making a bunch of big plays. He was starting to make some big strides. The Seahawks had just traded for Rashid Shaheed and he was only going to kind of build up and emphasize some of the strengths that Tory Horton has. And then he had his shin injury, and that was kind of all she wrote on his season. Now, when you look at his entire year in 2025, when I talk about Horton, I would tell you right now that it was a very much boom or bust kind of output for him. What I mean by that is, well, Horton only had 13 catches, yet he had 5 touchdowns. That's not including the punt return touchdown that he had as well. So if you think about it, in 8 games played, Tory Horton had 6 touchdowns, which that's unbelievable, especially for a rookie. But we really didn't get to see the full totality of what he could be or what he can be as a wide receiver in this league because he ended up suffering that shin injury. And now remember, that shin injury happened during practice. So it's not like it was something that we got to see, and then it was always, hey, well, maybe he'll be back, and then he just never ended up being back. Now, I was able to kind of see him move around and walk around when we were doing some of our Super Bowl coverage. Now, obviously, that's just him walking around throughout the convention center and during media availability. He was a very nice guy. I very much enjoyed my conversation with Tory Horton. So I'm rooting for Tory Horton, and I want him to be healthy and to get back out on the field simply because, one, I love the Seahawks, but two, I really like Tory Horton, the person. And so I was very disappointed to see Brady Henderson of ESPN tweet this out, where Macdonald came in and he said, yeah, Tory Horton, he got fixed up. We're just working through it, but he's not going to do anything in the spring. So Tory Horton's shin injury is so worrisome and it's so difficult for him to work through and to come back from that he's now not going to be able to do anything throughout the rest of the spring. So that means that he's still going through a rehab assignment and rehabbing his body to try and get himself in a position to even get to July in training camp. Now, while at the end of the day, what's most important is always going to be Tory Horton being able to play during the regular season, it does feel like he's missing out on some of his opportunities to get better as a player simply because he's not able to go out and practice. I had an old ball coach that used to tell me the best ability is availability. Because if you're always able to do something, you're always able to play, you're always able to practice, you're going to get better simply by osmosis of being out there. You couple that in with the fact that Tory Horton has had injury issues in college, well, shoot, I'm worried. I'm worried about him being healthy and the injury status that he's going to have throughout his career as a Seattle Seahawk. Are you worried about Tory Horton's injury status? Yes or no? Let me know down below in the comment section because I'll tell you right now, these were concerns when he was drafted. Everyone said Tory Horton, very good player, very dynamic, can get into the end zone a lot. We've seen that. The issue was always, would he stay healthy? The potential timeline right now for Horton, as I can best figure it out, is if he's not doing anything until spring, that means we're not going to see Horton back until probably mandatory minicamp, which that ends up getting going right around the beginning to end of June. Now, there is a chance that he might not even be ready for that, depending on when it hits or if there's a setback or anything else. And hopefully I'm just being hyperbolic. Hopefully I'm just being a worrywart. Hopefully I am just a little bit overly concerned. But I'll tell you right now, this is something that we definitely need to keep an eye on, not just here on Seahawks Today, but as Seahawks fans in general. Because this is a very good wide receiver. This is a very dynamic wide receiver. This is a great person. This is a guy that I am rooting for. But if he's unable to be on the field, Seattle is going to have to look at either potential backup options for him or replacement options, which is why it's always good to use your time at the NFL Combine to make sure that you're meeting with players. Even if it's players that you might not necessarily draft this year, or if it's a player that you don't think necessarily fits in with the team right now, but could potentially fit in with the team later on. What I'm talking about are two interesting interviews and meetings that I saw from the Seahawks because the Seahawks met with two wide receivers, Makai Lemon and Jordyn Tyson, two of the top wide receivers in this draft class, and two receivers that I don't see being available at pick 32. Now, what would be very interesting for the Seahawks would be if they go and attack the defensive holes that could potentially pop up for this team in free agency, and they're able to re-sign a guy like Kobe Bryant, or go out and find a way to either re-sign Reek Woolen or Josh Jobe, or go sign a new cornerback to come in and replace them. maybe the Seahawks look at that wide receiver position and say, hey, we feel pretty darn good about the guys we have in on our defense. Maybe we can go up and grab one of these wide receivers. Or if they believe the receiver might drop in the draft, well, hey, maybe this is someone that they can go and pick up later on. I find it interesting that immediately people look at USC and they go, hey, Makai Lemon, you must know something and must be a. He had a lot of really good things to say about our quarterback here in Seattle.
No, I ain't talked to him too many times, but I definitely been peeping this game and one Trojan to another Trojan. It's always fight on.
And then when you look at Jordyn Tyson, a guy that I think if he's not going to go 1 or 2 as the wide receiver in this draft, I'd be pretty darn surprised. He talked about how he's always had love for the Seattle Seahawks, so much so that, in fact, they were his favorite team growing up. He did have to be kind of careful about this because I think he instantly goes, oh, they're my favorite team when I was growing up, which is probably something smart to say at the NFL Combine.
Yeah, I did. That's my favorite team. When I was a kid, it was my favorite team. I can't say that now.
Like to win the Super Bowl.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Do you have any connections on that team now, any of the players?
JSN, he's from Rockwall. Kind of talked to him a couple of times, and yeah, he's a very, very good player.
It's smart that the Seahawks checked up on these guys. Now, do I think that the Seahawks are going to trade up to go get one of these players? Probably not. There was some scuttlebutt around Chat Sports here, and there was some talk that maybe Seattle would look at this as an opportunity of, hey, that's our one area. If we don't get Shaheed back, we can go get a big-time playmaker, pair them with Jackson Smith-Njigba. Now watch out. I don't know if that's necessarily what they're going to do, but it's always smart to build a relationship with these players. You never know who's going to end up in free agency, and you never know who's going to drop. Remember, if it was up to Mel Kiper, Shedeur Sanders would have been the number 1 overall pick last year, and he fell all the way to the 5th round. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen with these guys, but it's always smart to do your due diligence just in case you need to go look at someone who could potentially come in and fill a wide receiver spot, especially if you don't feel totally comfortable with some of the injury reports and injury issues that another player has had. Make sure that you hit that sub button if you haven't already. Look at how close we are to catching our Knicks Now channel. I want to catch the Knicks Now channel so freaking bad. All you got to do is hit that sub button. We're going to have you covered on any of the latest and greatest news surrounding your Seattle Seahawks. So go hit that sub button today. I just want to catch him. I want to catch him so freaking bad. I always love the NBA NFL rivalry, and I think that we can catch our Knicks Now channel rather quickly. So hit that sub button. You're going to find what I think is the best coverage on the Seattle Seahawks out there, specifically the best coverage on the Seattle Seahawks here at Chat Sports. Now, what's really cool and what you might not know about me is that originally my job before I got into media, I was a substitute teacher, believe it or not. That was my first job out of college. Well, that and I work in security at some different concerts. And now I get to take my teaching background and bring it here to Seahawks Today because we're looking at some report cards. And if you've been living under a rock, you might not have seen that the NFL has released the report cards that the players gave to the different franchises. Now, I know that there was a lot of pushback and some of these teams were trying to hide some of this stuff, but eventually it ended up coming out and getting leaked. And, well, I thought it would be fun to take a look at the report card for the Seahawks, and we could really break it down. When you look at everything that's going on here with the Seahawks, treatment of families, B+, love that. Home game field, F. We're going to dive into that more in just a minute, not yet. Food and dining, nutritionist, A+, that's great. You could tell just by watching some of the players running around just how jacked they were. I'll tell you what, you look at the locker room, it's a B+. The training room, training staff, weight room, strength coaches, all those A. The more that you go down the list, the more that you're going to see A's. So great marks for the Seattle Seahawks for the most part, which is always going to be the most important at the end of the day. If you want to be a team that isn't just a blip on the radar, but you want to be a team that's consistently good year after year after year after year, you need to have great marks in most of these departments. It's funny how most of the time when you see bad marks for most of these teams, they are teams that don't do very well. When you see good marks for teams, it's usually teams that do very well. And I think that this ends up falling on the shoulders of general manager John Schneider because he shows that he has created a good environment. He's created a deep environment. He's created an important environment that fosters a culture of treating everyone the correct way. There's a reason why we hold doors open for other people. There's a reason why when someone helps us out, we say thank you. There's a reason why we use pleases and stuff like that when you need something from someone. And I think that John Schneider has done a great job with that. I also think that Mike Macdonald has built upon that and created a culture of winning. Players want to win. So what do? They come to Seattle because they want to play for a man like that. They want to play in a culture like this. Now, I said we'd dive more into what the F stood for, and I think it's important to kind of look at this social here from Kaylin Kaler. And she posted the worst home field grades on social media. Tennessee, the Jets, Giants, Seahawks, all coming in with those Fs. A couple of those teams with F minuses. Now, what I do think is fascinating and important here to mention, they are not talking about the 12s. They are not talking about the Lumen Field experience. What they're talking about is the playing surface. And so what the players have made very clear is that they do not like the turf in Lumen Field. And I think that that is very interesting. You're seeing a movement now from a lot of players and former players saying they want to go towards the grass field. The grass field feels better on the players' joints. It feels better on when they're trying to run. They don't get injured as easily. It's just a better deal for all people. And with a lot of these NFL franchises, you have the time to take care of the grass. It's important to note, too, if the Seahawks did decide to go to grass, might not be as difficult of a transition as you think because, well, the FIFA World Cup is coming. And those games that are being played in Seattle, guess what? They're going to be played on real grass. So when I look at this, I think we're going to see when the World Cup is being played how the grass holds up in Seattle. Now, I understand that football is played in the fall. This is going to be played in the summer. There could be more mud, wet, grime, whatever. If the grass holds up well, I think that the Seahawks should really consider not going back to the turf. Now, it's already been made clear that Seattle, at least next year, will be back on turf. They're going to go grass for the World Cup. They're going to go back to turf. Maybe if the grass holds out okay and players continue to complain about the turf over at Lumen, maybe it might be time to explore a real grass option. Seahawks need to switch to real grass at Lumen Field. Agree or disagree? Just make sure that you do it loud and proud in the comment section of today's video. Let me know what your personal opinion is down there. Of course, make sure that your notifications are turned on. Free agency is just a little bit away. So that means that things are going to be flying fast and furious. You don't want to miss out on any of that. So make sure you turn your noties on. And if you're not subscribed, hit the sub button. What are you doing? We are one of the biggest channels on all of YouTube covering the Seattle Seahawks. Hit that sub button. You're going to be covered daily. Latest news and rumors on the Seahawks right here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video, and I cannot wait to see you next time. Bang! I see my guy Good Times. He says, switch to real grass. What is going on? Yeah, Nolo, my bad. He says that he believes Jordyn Tyson will be gone early. Dude, I agree with you. I'm fascinated at what the Seahawks think they could be doing there. But who knows? Dan, the man, Miller. Boom! What's going on? What do you think will happen with Milroe since it looks like Slingin' Sammy D is our QB of the future? This is a great question, Dan, and I'll tell you what. The more and more that I think about Milroe, the more I kind of start buying into that weird Bleacher Report trade proposition. And so, for those of you who didn't get to see it, Bleacher Report said that they would trade, that the Seahawks could potentially trade Jalen Milroe to the Miami Dolphins for a third-round pick. So, what Bleacher Report did is they went through every team, who is a player that could be traded, where could they be traded to. I think it's a little bit bold to say that Milroe gets traded in a one-for-one swap. I also think it would be interesting, to say the least, if the Seahawks already moved on from him, because if the Seahawks are willing to move on from him already, that might make teams more inclined to think that they don't believe that he can turn out. Because remember, the whole reason you went in and got Milroe was because of the potential that he had. He could potentially build into being one of these great quarterbacks, but it was potential. I think Seattle's going to hang on to him. I'll be interested to see if it turns into more of a backup QB battle between him and Drew Lock. And if it does, who could end up being QB1? I or QB2, I guess I should say. Whoever could end up being QB2, I'd be interested to see what goes down there. I think training camp this year is going to be a big deal for Jalen Milroe. And we're going to know kind of by the end of training camp what the Seahawks think of him. Is he someone that could maybe be a good backup or a potential replacement for Sam Darnold 4 or 5 years down the line? Or do they think he's someone that they need to just move on from? Shout out to Lucky Links. I've got my 12s bracelet on right now. Dan the Man Miller, by the way, you got yourself into that raffle. We will be giving it away at the end of March, our very last live show in March. So right now I have a list, and if you send in a super chat throughout the build up towards there, I have a list. I've got everyone down, and I'll make sure that you have an opportunity to get that. 66 likes. We are trying to get to 115. Means we only need 49 more. If you haven't had an opportunity to hit that thumbs up button, I would really appreciate it. Go on in and smash that thumbs up button. We really appreciate it. That is so cool. Gabe, why don't you put that in the comment on today's video that we did on Kenneth Walker. You put that in there. You tag Seahawks Today. I'll be able to see that. Producer Searle, quit hiding behind the scenes, man. Pop yourself up here. You can tell Producer Searle knows when quitting time is. He's out of here. He's ready to get out of here. He's ready to get out of here. What you think of Dan the Man Miller's question? What's your thoughts on Jalen Milroe? Because I know you didn't get to do a ton of the training camp stuff, but obviously you got to do the postseason run. Am I crazy for thinking that maybe the Seahawks should hold on to Jalen Milroe and continue to try and develop him over the next 2 to 3 years?
No.
And so when Darnold's contract comes up, maybe that's a potential replacement?
No, I don't think it's a horrible idea, but I do think you could explore what his trade value is.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a horrible idea. I mean, obviously you want to have a good number 2, reliable. Who knows if Darnold could go down with a season-ending injury?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, 100%.
You never know.
Well, and the other part that could be fascinating with this, and maybe I'll dive more into it when we're doing our mailbag, is what if you hold on to Milroe, put him in the best possible scenarios during preseason, so that way he looks really freaking awesome, and then you trade him after there's an injury or something.
Yeah.
It's
also possible.
You can find a way to maximize this. You can definitely do that. Krish, make sure that you use the hashtag Seahawks or you send in a super chat on today's show to potentially be on our show today, while also being on our mailbag, which will go out on Saturday. You can use the hashtag Seahawks, or if you want to guarantee that you're on the show, use that super chat. Because I cannot guarantee that you'll be on the show if you do not use that super chat. So I can guarantee our guy Dan the Man Miller, Christian, and Xander, they will all be on the mailbag show, just like they were on today's show. Right now, we are rising and grinding. I also get right now that it's Friday. Most people are tuned out. They're ready for the weekend. They're working for the weekend. I appreciate everyone who spent the time today to come in and hang out with us.
Absolutely.
Means the world to me. I always really appreciate it. I like that my guy Scott says go with grass. Dan the Miller says go with grass as well. Fascinating. I always do appreciate. I always crack up when people jump in halfway through and go, "Where's the Tory Horton news?"
You missed it.
I just did it. I just snooze you lose.
Back to the whole grass conversation.
Yeah, what's your thoughts?
That's
on
becoming very prevalent in the college game.
Yes. Yeah. A lot are going to grass, right?
Yeah.
Is Nebraska grass?
So Nebraska's turf, and I believe they're planning on switching to grass.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting.
I just think it's going to be, you're going to see it more across the college landscape as more NFL teams do it.
I think so too. I think what's fascinating is there's a risk to reward ratio, or I guess a price to reward ratio on it. So at the high school level, I get why you go grass. Go grass. You don't have the people to take care, go turf.
Right.
At the high school level, you don't have the people to take care of the grass the way it needs to be taken care of.
Yeah, you don't have a
have
landscape crew. You don't have a grounds crew.
Yeah, or you have a grounds crew and they have to take care of 4 different schools.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. Have the turf. You can play on it all year long. You can have all sorts of different camps. You can have practices. You can have soccer, lacrosse, football. Depending on how you build the turf fields, you can have baseball, softball, track, field, all that kind of stuff. The high school level turf makes sense. But when you get to these premier college football programs, you get to the NFL teams, you have the money, you have the resources to take care of a grass field. I mean, shoot, when you look at Seattle, it's Lumen Field. Sounders pay half, Seahawks pay half. Bam! Take care of it. You got probably the same grounds crew. I bet you there's no difference between the grounds crew for the Sounders and the grounds crew for the Seahawks. It has to be the same. And so if you have the same grounds crew, just pay them equally. You're going to have to pay them a little more. It's going to cost a little bit more, but it's probably going to be safer for your players. Maybe I'm crazy. It's also not my money. So,
that's true.
Let's call that a spade. I walk to and from work because I don't want to pay $10 to park. So, put that for what you will. We got 50 people hanging out with us. Appreciate everyone who's hung out with us so far. We're going to get into our second video. If you're just joining us and you have not had a chance to hit the thumbs up button, do so now, please. We're trying to get to 115. Well, we're at 71 right now. It's a lofty way to get to our goal, so we really got to go. We really got to push. And if you have a friend who loves the Seattle Seahawks and isn't here with us, share the video with them. All you got to do, you click that copy link, you send it over to your buddy. They can tune in as well. Here's what we're going to do. We've got a mock draft coming up for you. That's right. I said I'd do one, and I've finally done one. So I'm going to give you my first 3-round mock draft for the Seattle Seahawks, who I've got them taking and why. And then after that, we'll get into our mailbag, which, by the way, you still have time to get into. How do you get into that mailbag? Well, producer Searle's telling me in my ear. You send in a message using the hashtag Seahawks, which could potentially get you in. If you want to guarantee yourself to get in, you send in that super chat. We've already got 3 people that are guaranteed to be in it. If you want to guarantee yourself to be in it, you send in that super chat right now. Producer Searle, you let me know when we're ready to go. No worries. No worries. I don't hate that. Is it Nolo? I'm going to call you Nolo. I don't hate that idea there. 74 likes. Will Ortner's football number. All right. You ready, Producer Searle? Let's bang this thing out. No one clip that. This is Seahawks Today. I am your host, Will Ortner, and I have finally given in. It's time. It's mock draft season. It's time for us to look at Will Ortner's mock draft 1.0 on today's show because the NFL Combine has just wrapped up, and I want to make sure that I show you who I think the Seahawks could be taking in the first 3 rounds of this draft, at least as the players sit right now. Now, it is important to note, I will not be doing any trades in this draft. We will not be trading down. We will be taking the Seahawks picks from the position that they are already in. So no John Schneider move downs to go and acquire multiple picks later on. Although I do want to make sure that I mention it would not shock me if that is a move that he decides to go with, or a couple of moves that he decides to go with, because the Seahawks right now have a limited number of draft picks. Before we get into any of that, though, you got to check out this sweet Seahawks Today shirt. Only $24.99. Look at how fresh and fly it is. You can get the navy or the black. Show that you're a real one of Seahawks Today by picking up one of these t-shirts. Let everybody know just how stinking cool you are, how much you love your favorite show. Plus, we are racing to the finish line right now. St. Patrick's Day is right around the corner. Get your Seattle Drinking Team t-shirt today. Newly established in 2026. We got the green as well as the navy t-shirt. Super affordable as well. Only $29.99. The link to both of these t-shirts are going to be in the comment section and description of today's video. All you got to do is click that link. It'll take you right where you need to go, and you'll be able to pick one up yourself. So when we look at the draft picks for the Seattle Seahawks in the 2026 draft, it is important to note that the Seahawks are missing their 4th and 5th round draft picks because they traded them away to get Rashid Shaheed. So the Seahawks are only going to have their 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 6th round pick in this draft. So pick 32, 64, 196 as it sits right now. Now, it is important that everyone understands that I'm making these picks after the NFL Combine. We were covering it here at Chat Sports. We had our Chat Sports team that was out at Indy, and so I was able to get some extra coverage of the Seattle Seahawks and some potential players that the Seahawks could draft. Here was a tweet that I fired out over Avion Terrell. He really enjoyed his time with the Seattle Seahawks. Give me a follow on X because you're going to get some extra content over there if you haven't done so already. So when we go through this mock draft that I did on the PFF mock draft simulator, we're going to start in the first round, and we're going to start with the Houston Texans before we get all the way to pick 32 for the Seattle Seahawks. What I tell you right now is that the Texans, very good defense. They go with Lee Hunter of Texas Tech. Got a chance to really watch him go toe-to-toe with the Oregon football team because, well, that's the other team that I cover here at Chat Sports. Pretty darn good. Ty Simpson at pick number 29, Alabama quarterback to the Rams. I'll tell you right now, I would very much enjoy if he was the one trying to replace Matthew Stafford. Feel pretty darn good about that one. At pick 30, the Broncos. They're going with Caleb Lomu from Utah. Very good offensive tackle over there. Stealing my pride and joy, player that I love to watch. At pick number 32, Kenyon Sadiq of the Oregon football team. Tight end there joining the New England Patriots, giving Drake May another tight end weapon. Hunter Henry getting a little bit long in the tooth. What I find interesting here about Sadiq as well is the skill set that he has. He can do multiple different things, and we know how much the Patriots love players that can do a multitude of different things. The Seattle Seahawks at pick number 32. Well, I just could not escape him. Had to go with the defensive back out of South Carolina, Brandon Cisse. And I'll tell you right now, that kid is freaking explosive. And he can do a multitude of a really cool, really good different things. I think that he fits into what Mike Macdonald wants to do in Seattle. What impresses me the most about Cisse is his ability to never give up. He's always doing something. He's always playing to the utmost of his ability. Now, he was able to meet with the Seattle Seahawks during the NFL Combine. And we'll dive into that here in just a second, but I want to really dive into who he is as a player first. He's 6 feet tall, so he's a slightly average size, maybe a little bit on the bigger end corner. He can play on the outside just as well as he can play on the inside. Not afraid to make any tackles, not afraid to lock down any other players. What I find very impressive with him and his tape that we've seen so far from Cisse is that there is a lot of room for him to continue to improve. Speaking of that, let's see what he had to say about the Seattle Seahawks.
So I actually played 7-on-7 with Nick in high school. I was at the NFC Championship when they played the Rams to go watch them. So it was actually one of the best environments I've seen in a long time. So, yeah, I've seen the Seahawks. I studied their defense. Yes, I have. It went great. Awesome. One of my favorite ones. Can I talk to Nick at all about it? Oh, yes, I talked to him a few days ago. So, yeah, we keep in contact about weekly. We keep in contact. He's a good friend of mine.
So when you look at the full season for Cisse, obviously 27 tackles. You might like that number to be a little bit higher, but I actually don't have a problem with it. Remember, he is a corner, so at the end of the day, if guys aren't catching the football on you, well, then that's got to say something. You also have to understand that he plays in the SEC, and in the SEC, it means a whole lot more when you're coming up with big plays and big stops. When you have a player that's able to get the most out of their ability in the SEC, you always know that you are going to get a key player, a key star as you're going through this. You are going to see a player that I believe is going to maximize his abilities, and I love everything that he is doing. Now, I want to talk about his ability to play in the slot as well as on the outsides. When he plays inside of the slot, Cisse is not afraid to get the most out of his strength, his athleticism, his skill set. He's a player that can really lock down opposing teams. Why do I love the Seahawks getting this kid? Because he fits into what Macdonald looks for in a player. And what does Macdonald look for in a player? He looks for guys that can do everything. I love the Seahawks getting this demon in that position. I love the Seahawks finding a way to get another player that can play not just one spot, but two. and 3 and 4. At the end of the day, that's always what's going to be most important. And when I look at Mike Macdonald, that's clearly something that he wants to target. That's clearly something that he wants to build a team around. When you look at pick number 32 for the Seattle Seahawks, is there a player that you specifically want the Seahawks to go in and target? Now, I've heard some people say that I want to see the Seahawks get a defensive back. I've seen some people say that I want to see the Seahawks go get an edge rusher. I've seen some people say that they want to see the Seahawks go get a wide receiver. Who do you specifically want the Seahawks to take at pick number 32? Comment your answer down below. Let me know in the comment section and say it with your chest. Who should the Seahawks take at pick number 32? I'm very fascinated in your opinion. Next, we're going to get into my last 2 picks for the Seahawks because this is a 3-round mock draft. But before we do any of that, I need to let you know about my good friends over at Prize Picks because they are the sponsor of today's video. Shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right. Prize Picks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting. So don't miss this chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on any 2 to 6 player stat projections. If your picks are right, you could cash in. Pick from all your favorite sports, anything from basketball, baseball, hockey, UFC, soccer, college basketball, tennis, golf, esports, and more. New feature alert! Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your player gets off to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. I have a 2-pick power play for some stuff that's going on this week. Malik Benson, less on his 40-time. Jonah Coleman, less on his 40-time as well. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. I have the Seahawks taking a different kind of demon, an edge rusher demon at pick number 64, Joshua Josephs. I think that this kid can come in and be a fantastic player for the Oregon football team, and I'm not the only one who thinks so. We have a fantastic group of reporters here and chat sports employees, and one of our guys, Joey Peterson, he mans our Tennessee Football Talk channel, so he's been able to watch Josephs all year long, and this is what Joey Peterson had to say. Solid production, not many glaring weaknesses, but also not many glaring strengths. Just a good all-around player. I see him having a solid NFL career, but not being a game wrecker / game changer. I might actually disagree here with my guy, Joey P. And the reasoning for that is because I think Josephs can flourish in Mike Macdonald's system. He's the type of player that once you get him in with Macdonald, you're only going to see him go up, 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 and up. 33 tackles on the season, able to get after the passer as well as get some TFLs in the run game. Pressure number is really through the roof. That's always important. Not always are you going to be able to get a sack, but are you going to be able to get in the backfield and make people uncomfortable? That's always going to be important. And I think that Josephs would be able to do that and really build upon a lot of his strengths with the Seahawks. Why might the Seahawks take an edge rusher? Well, because here's kind of what you're looking at when it comes to the edges for the Seattle Seahawks. Uchenna Nwosu. He's someone that could potentially be up as a cut candidate. He makes a lot of money, and other than this year, he hasn't been all that healthy recently. I hope they don't cut him, but there are some options there for the Seahawks. Boye Mafe is a free agent. Everybody knows that, so he could potentially move on from the Seattle Seahawks. And the last person is DeMarcus Lawrence. There are retirement rumors that are fluttering about. I don't know that I fully believe in them, but I'll tell you right now, if he retires, Seattle's going to have to find a way to replace him. So these are all potential things that could happen in NFL free agency that could make the Seahawks really desperately need an edge rusher. That's why I like Josephs in this draft. I think that he's long, he's strong, and he's very athletic. When you're talking about an edge rusher, you want those types of qualities in them. And I think you can see him get the most out of his ability in Seattle. Macdonald always has good defensive linemen, and he always gets the most out of their talent. Leonard Williams is having a career year in Seattle. DeMarcus Lawrence, Uchenna Nwosu, one of their better years of their careers, and Byron Murphy, it was his best year of his very young career. So expect the Seahawks, if they do take Josephs, to get the most out of him. Hit that sub button. We're going to have you covered throughout free agency here on the channel. Daily videos. Free agency, it's right around the corner. You don't want to miss it, so make sure you hit that sub button. At pick 96, I have the Seahawks taking an interesting pick here, going for safety Zakee Wheatley at pick number 96. Now, what I think is very important about the Seahawks going and grabbing a safety here would be as someone to kind of come in as a backup if you potentially lost Kobe Bryant in free agency, which it does feel like there are rumors kind of swirling about that. Unfortunately, he might not be back in Seattle, which really does suck. Wheatley, fantastic year with Penn State, made a bunch of tackles. You're not seeing a ton of interceptions there or pass breakups. That's okay. He's still a player that can do a lot. Now, you are going to look at my mock draft and say the Seahawks, they really targeted a lot of defensive players in this draft. And my thought process behind that is because what we saw at the Combine. When you talk about position groups that Seattle met with most, it's edge rushers, it's defensive backs, and it's specifically corners and safeties when you're talking about those defensive backs. Why? Because the Seahawks have a lot of potential free agents in that spot, guys that could potentially leave Seattle. Reek Woolen, Josh Jobe, Kobe Bryant, guys of that nature, and Boye Mafe at that edge rusher position. If these guys leave in free agency, Seattle has to replace them. And by the way Seattle was meeting with players at the Combine, it makes me feel like they're going to look to replace those guys by picking up draft picks and by picking guys in those positions in the draft. Let me know what you think of my mock draft for the Seattle Seahawks. Just remember, I'm very sensitive. Grade it A, B, C, D, or F down below in the comment section. Try to be nice. I do read the comments, and sometimes it does hurt my feelings if you grade me too harshly. I think it was halfway decent, but to come out here and say that it was an A, I think that's probably wrong. Hit that sub button if you haven't already. You love the Seattle Seahawks. I love the Seattle Seahawks. We've got you covered throughout 2026 with daily videos. Also, make sure that you follow me on social media. I'm going to have extra content around the draft, around free agency, at Will Ortner on Twitter and on Instagram. If you follow me there, you're going to get even more content than you already do here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I cannot wait to see you next time. Woo! What a day. What a show. Oh, my goodness. We only got a few more minutes left to go today, Producer Cyril. Want to make sure that we get everyone an opportunity to get their questions in. And so here's what we are going to do. We got 60 people hanging out with us. We're going to throw up our hashtag for the show. Of course, the hashtag is hashtag Seahawks. You have, let's say, 5 minutes to get those questions in or get a super chat in with your question to guarantee that you will be on a show. If you do that in those 5 minutes, I'll answer your question here. Producer Cyril will answer your question here. And then you'll be on not only today's show, but you'll be on our Mailbag show, which will be on Saturday. So as soon as Producer Cyril puts that countdown counter up and he pushes it over, bang, we are live. So that does mean that you only have a limited amount of time to be able to get into our Mailbag. And I hope that you do so. I hope that you do so. Thank you to everyone who's been hanging out with us. A lot of fun today. Very fun show. Very fun show. Cyril, how you doing, man? It's Friday. We're within an hour of getting out of here at
We're almost there.
Been a lot of fun, man.
Job's not finished.
Been a job is not finished. I can't even emphasize how excited I am for this weekend. Just a little bit of relaxing.
Oh, absolutely.
Just
Little R&R.
Well, hey, you know what? Look, I love covering the Seahawks, and it's not like we're out here digging ditches or anything like that.
Right.
But they've been some long days. You guess
For
what
sure.
time I got in today?
7 a.m.
Dude, I freaking wish.
Earlier?
Yeah, I got in at 6:45.
Sheesh.
I mistimed the walk, man. I mistimed the walk. So I'll end up pulling close to a 12-hour day. That's okay.
Humble flex.
Well, look, I do it for the 12s. I do it for the real ones, the Seahawks today, and I wouldn't do it for anybody else. What's something that you noticed throughout the Combine, Cyril? Is there a player that you really like? Not even necessarily for the Seahawks, it can be, but is there a player that's jumping out to you?
Well, I was covering the Browns report earlier today with our host, JOD. There's a few guys that popped that we talked about that I think the Seahawks could take a closer look at, but I really like Jordyn Tyson from Arizona State.
Dude, he's so good.
So good.
He's so good. He's just got to stay healthy. He's got a bugaboo with injuries. That's a real thing. And I think from looking at some of the comments, by the way, Dan the Man Miller, you're a beast. Shout out to you. Appreciate you. I think that some people are kind of like, hey, dude, Tory Horton, injury news, it's effing February. Like, chill out, you know? And I get that. I do. But it is important when you have a wide receiver that gets injured and has had injury issues in the past. I think it's okay to be a little bit fearful of them, and it could be something that would make Seattle potentially a little bit nervous to take a guy like Tyson if there's these injuries that keep popping up with Tory Horton, right? And Tory Horton isn't, I feel bad because he's being used as like the straw man in this. He's the person that's held up as like the example, and that's not fair to Tory Horton. But we see this a lot in football. Once a player gets hurt, they don't typically not get hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like the minute that you get hurt, you're kind of dealing with injury issues the rest of your way.
Which it's unfortunate that it can hurt your draft status that much. Right. But it is what it is.
Right. No, I mean, it's 100%. I mean, like, I don't know if I've told this story on here. I think I've told this story to you, producer Cyril. I could, maybe not. So for those of you that don't know, I played offensive line in college. I went to a bowl game where they were going to see could Will Ortner end up playing in the National Football League or more than likely play in the Canadian Football League. That was kind of my big hope, right? And I remember going into a combine style interview / like measurement system being taken. And so I go in to go get my hands measured by the Baltimore Ravens. And the guy measured my left hand, he measured my right hand, and he said, yeah, we're good. And I said, okay, cool. What do you want to measure next? And he goes, no, we're good. We're good talking to you. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, you measured my hands? And he goes, yeah, they're too small. You won't play for us. And so it is fascinating what really matters and what really locks in for those guys. Now, was I going to play for them anyways? No, I was nowhere near good enough. But you have to imagine that if they were measuring my hands, they're like, disqualifying. How many other guys got the same treatment? Because
right.
That wasn't an abnormal thing for that guy to do. He was just like, yeah, dude, see ya. So I wonder how often things like that happen. Because for every guy that's like Kevin Love or Steph Curry, and I'm basketball reference here, guys who were injured in college, injured early in their careers that didn't end up being injured during the prime to the end of their careers, there's a lot of other guys that are just injured forever and aren't able to get out of the way. If you're just joining us, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. Sorry that we had to move our live show to Friday, just kind of the way that it was. I would presume we'll be back to Thursday next week. Make sure that you come on in and you hit that thumbs up button. We always really appreciate everyone who enjoys their time with us and enjoys hanging out, having a good time, having a good day. So please hit that thumbs up button. We're trying to get to 115. Would be an impressive feat.
It would be.
34 away, but you never know. Plus, it's free $99. Helps us get to do more of these, have more opportunities to go live, hang out with y'all, and really enjoy our time. I know that during free agency, there's some talk of some potential lives. I would love to do that. I know producer Cyril would love to do that. We'd love to be here with y'all for that. So we'll see if that ends up getting to happen. Thank you to everyone who sent in those super chats. Our time has run out. So if you have forgotten to use the hashtag Seahawks, make sure that you do so right now. I do have to give one more shout out to my girl Heidi at Lucky Links. Thank you so much. Got my 12s bracelet on. We're giving a 12s bracelet away courtesy of her. The thing is so stinking cool. Grab yours today, or grab one today. You can go and visit her site. I've reposted it a couple times over on my social media. I'll make sure to do that again. And like I said, if you send in a super chat during one of our live shows, you'll have an opportunity to go grab one of those for yourself. Thank you to everyone who hung out with us. We're going to get into our mailbag. We'll come back real quick, sign off, say sayonara, and then, well, we'll get to our weekend. Hopefully you guys do too. We ready, producer Cyril? Let's do it. This is Seahawks Today. I am your host, Will Ortner, and just like every other combine week in the National Football League, There's a ton of news and rumors that are swirling around, and it's hard to really sift through everything that is happening. The best way to do that, in my personal opinion, is tuning into this show, because when we have our live shows, which we had yesterday on Friday, we had some Seahawks fans that were able to send in their questions. If you ever have questions, make sure that you have your notifications turned on so you can hang out with us, get your questions on a show. We're going to dive into what Seahawks fans are asking in just one moment, but I got to let the real ones know that you can go grab your Seahawks Today shirt. Finally, we got some official show merch. You can go grab a navy one, or you can grab our black one here. Super affordable, only $24.99. Very comfortable t-shirt. Very much enjoy wearing my Mob Mentality shirt. It's made of the same material as that Seahawks Today. Plus, you better hustle up. We're closing in on March right now. That means we're closing in on St. Patrick's Day. We got our official Seattle Drinking Team t-shirts. We got the green as well as the navy. If you want to go pick one of those up today, you can. Only $29.99. The link for both of those t-shirts is going to be in the comment section and description of today's video. All you got to do, click that link. It'll take you right where you need to go. You can pick yourself up one today. And I promise, if you grab one, we're going to shout you out in a future Seahawks Today show. J.K. Dobbins' father, what's up, Mr. Dobbins? If Kenneth Walker leaves in free agency, who should Seattle sign at running back? I find this a fascinating question because it does kind of feel like the momentum is going towards Kenneth Walker not coming back to Seattle, which is very unfortunate because I would love for K9 to be a Seahawk for life, but it's very clear that the Seahawks kind of seems like they have a cap on what they're going to be willing to pay him, and I think that more teams in the National Football League are going to be willing to pay Kenneth Walker over that cap. So when I look at the free agent running backs right now in the National Football League, it's important to look at a player that could potentially be added in to this team and be added in to this squad. Someone that's going to fit into that long outside zone run scheme while still being able to catch the football out of backfield. Maybe someone who isn't necessarily going to be a number one running back, because it doesn't seem like that's what the Seahawks want out of their running back. They want more of a two-headed monster type of a system. I find Travis Etienne fascinating. If he decides to not end up going back to Jacksonville, maybe that is a spot where Seattle could go and sign him. He would be able to come in and be the number one back for the Seahawks. He actually ended up having more rushing yards than Kenneth Walker did on the entire year. He's decent at catching the football out of the backfield, and I think that he would be able to get a lot more done behind the Seahawks offensive line. Not that the Jacksonville Jaguars were bad offensively. In fact, I would say they're pretty darn decent. But I do think that the Seahawks are only going to get better under Brian Fleury. He's only going to build upon Clint Kubiak's system. Plus, the offensive line, they're going to become more and more comfortable playing with each other. You have seen that the offensive line got better as the season went on. I think that they're only going to be able to pick up right where they left off. Let's beat our record on our most liked video of the week, 392. Can we do it on today's show? Come on in, hit that thumbs up button. If you do so, well, who knows? Maybe you'll help us beat the record. Christian, what's going on, you frickin' stud? Good to see you. Hope you're having a good one. He says, hashtag Seahawks, what player from the Combine is the best fit for the Seattle Seahawks? And I was on Twitter, a little hiatus. Apologies for the spam stuff. I don't know why it does that, Christian. First of all, anytime you or any of the other real ones of Seahawks Today want to share our stuff on social media, I always appreciate it. It means the world to me. And I'll do my best to get underneath there and comment and let you know that I think you're a stud or a beast. By the way, what player is going to be the best fit for the Seahawks? I think actually it's going to be cornerback Brandon Cisse from South Carolina. And I don't want to give away too much of how much I like this guy and how much I do think he can add into what the Seahawks want to do. But when you look at his skill set, he's a big corner. He is able to kind of play in the slot as more of a big nickel while playing on the outside edges. And what does Macdonald like? He likes players that don't just play one thing. He doesn't just want an outside corner. He doesn't just want an inside corner. He doesn't just want a linebacker. Macdonald wants guys who are going to do a bunch of different things, play a bunch of different positions, and be able to play them all at a very high level. I think that Cisse fits into that. Plus, you'd be teaming him back up with Nick Eamon-Worry. Xander. I can't wait for the draft. Let's go, Hawks. Dude, I can't wait for the draft either. Right now, it feels like from time to time when I'm doing some of these free agents rumors, it's kind of downer news because it's Seahawks players that could be leaving. I don't want to talk about guys that are leaving. I want to talk about guys that are coming in to the franchise, coming into the organization. And I really do believe that the Seahawks are going to be able to crush this draft like they have some of the others. It might not be as many picks as they've had in some of the others, but I do believe that Schneider can make the most out of what the Seahawks have. Dan, the man, Miller! What's going on, sir? What do you think will happen with Milroe since it looks like Sling and Sammy D is our quarterback of the future? Well, it does feel like the Seahawks have a couple of different options. They could go the Jordan Love route where they just sit on Jalen Milroe and just say, hey, you're going to sit here and you're going to develop and you're going to develop and you're going to develop, or we're going to move on from you, just like what the Green Bay Packers did with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. What I found very fascinating with that whole situation is a lot of us thought, well, they're doing that because Jordan Love is buns, but really it was more so the Packers doing that because of how well Aaron Rodgers was still playing. And then when Jordan Love came in, is he Aaron Rodgers? No, but to sit here and say that Jordan Love is not a good quarterback, I think would be wrong. So maybe the Seahawks just decide, hey, you know what? We're going to sit on Milroe. We're going to let him develop. Right now, you are in a situation where Sam Darnold, he's got a couple of years before he could hit free agency. Maybe by the time he hits free agency or has the opportunity to do so, Milroe gets himself into a spot where you're comfortable with him being the starter. You could also decide to trade Jalen Milroe. I feel like if that's what you're going to do, the Seahawks should wait and not trade him until after the preseason. And what I mean by that is right now Bleacher Report has an article where they gave trades for every team. And in that article, they had the Seahawks trading Milroe to the Dolphins for a day 3 pick. Or what I think, if the Seahawks were able to trade for that round 3 pick, I think it would be a bit much right now. What I think the Seahawks should do is put Milroe in situations where he clearly is excelling during training camp, and then maybe there's a team in the National Football League that has a quarterback injury or doesn't like where they're at with their quarterback, and they'd be willing to give up more capital and more things for a player like Milroe. So instead of getting a 3rd-round pick, you could potentially get a day 3 pick and a player, or you could get 2 day 3 picks, or you could get a 2nd-round pick, things like that. So to me, it does feel like we're going to really find out what the Seahawks think of Milroe in training camp. I think if Milroe's not outright competing for that number 2 spot in the quarterback position, I think Seattle might be in a weird position with Milroe. They might have to hold on to him for longer than they think, or who knows, maybe they'll even cut him. I think there's a lot of things that could happen with Milroe, Dan, and I don't think that we're in a position quite yet to fully know what's going to be going on there. Are you nervous that Kenneth Walker will leave in free agency? Feels like every other video that we're doing here on the channel is about Milroe moving on, or Kenneth Walker moving on from the Seattle Seahawks. I hope that he doesn't leave in free agency. Let me know down below in the comment section. Are you nervous? Yes or no? I'll tell you right now, it's not nerves. I do believe that he might be gone. Pop Toes! Good to see you, sir. Missed ya. Will, do you think Brian Fleury is a good hire? Because I think it is. I agree with you, my guy, Pop Toes. I think that Brian Fleury is a great hire for the Seattle Seahawks. The more and more that I learn about him, the more and more that I think the Seahawks knocked it out of the park. When you have a team that has a clear identity that they want to create, a clear identity that they want to build their team, their offense around, and you can go in and find a guy that completely blows the doors off of a coach like Mike Macdonald, that tells me that Fleury showed up, he was prepared, he was energized, he was ready to go, and he delivered a great message. Fleury was not supposed to get this job. So for him to be able to deliver a message where it showed that he clearly could take over as the OC, I think that's pretty darn important for this squad, and it shows you why he is a good hire. Krish, what's going on, man? Good to see you, or ma'am. I'm going to say it's good to see you. How about that? That's the better way to do it. Who do you think we will draft in this upcoming season? I think that Seattle's got a good opportunity to go in and grab a defensive back. I've already kind of mentioned Brandon Cisse is a great fit. Avion Terrell was mocked to the Seahawks in Mel Kiper's last mock draft. I think it's going to be a defensive player. You saw the Seahawks interview a ton of defensive talent, whether that was a defensive back, aka a corner or safety, or an edge rusher. Now, there's opportunities for the Seahawks to go and get a wide receiver if they think they need one. But I'll tell you right now, it does feel like it's going to be a defensive player that's drafted. Trigger! What's going on, sir? If we lose K9 and Sharp is still not ready, what are our options? Well, I think this is where we can really dive into it. And I know we kind of already did it a little bit, but I want to pull up that graphic again where we look at our free agent options. Because going into free agency, there were 10 clear big free agents that I thought teams could go after in that running back position. But we already can kind of rule out Breece Hall because, well, the Jets made it pretty clear that if they don't get a deal done, they're going to franchise tag him or transition tag him. Javonte Williams, he's already signed with the Cowboys. So we're now down to like 8 big name running backs. And I think Kenneth Walker's kind of the belle of the ball. I do think that Travis Etienne would be a fun person that they could go after. I think there's a world where Pacheco could be fun as well. He's big, more of a power runner, obviously. And then the last guy that I wouldn't mind kicking the tires on is Najee Harris. Like when you look at Najee Harris, he's a guy who can run physically. He's done well in zone schemes, but he's also a player that is coming off of a pretty significant injury. So you have to trust that your medical staff is doing their due diligence and gets him in a place to where they can get the most out of him. So those are a couple of different targets, a couple of different options that the Seahawks could go down if they decided to not re-sign Kenneth Walker. Make sure that you hit that sub button. We've got content coming out for you throughout the year of 2026, and free agency is right around the corner. Hit that sub button. You'll never miss any news or rumors around your favorite team again. The need for Shaheed. What's going on? I'm not surprised that you're asking a question about our guy, Rashid Shaheed. Will Rashid Shaheed return to the Seahawks in free agency? I feel pretty comfortable with Shaheed coming back to Seattle. He has made it clear that he wants to return. The Seahawks have made it clear that they want him to return. Now, when you look at his stat line in the last year, obviously the numbers are going to be more inflated for how Shaheed was playing with the Saints. I think it's important to note there. They knew they were going to trade him, so they were feeding him the football just a little bit more, trying to make sure that his numbers were a little bit higher. They could get more in free agency, and they did. I think with the Seahawks, we just saw what the beginning was for Rashid Shaheed. I think if he came back and he stayed here for some time, you would see a great chemistry get built between him and between Sam Darnold, and I think you'd really see the Seahawks take the F off. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video. I really appreciated all the time that we had spent. I always love talking with the 12s because I think I get a new perspective. It's not a show here on Seahawks Today where I just want to talk to myself. I don't want to just talk to producer Cyril. I want your opinions as well. So thank you for hanging out with us. If you weren't able to hang out with our mailbag show today, make sure that you tune in to our next live show. Should be next Thursday. You can get your questions in on that. Hit that thumbs up button. We always really appreciate when you do. And, of course, subscribe to the channel. It's going to be your favorite channel to watch the Seattle Seahawks on. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video, and I cannot wait to see you next time. Bang! Producer Searle, it's a happy Friday. Shout out to everyone who is here hanging out with us. I hope y'all had a good time. I certainly did. I know that producer Searle did as well. Like I said, it's Friday. So I'm racing out of here. I'm going to get that Tory Horton video up for y'all on the channel, lickety split. And then guess what? I'm going to go find somewhere to have a nice, responsible beverage or 2 or 10. Responsibly. You figure out what type of beverage I'm having. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Thank you guys for viewing today's video. Cannot wait to see you guys next time. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.